Hey guys, Nicole here from Canadian Women of the Outdoors podcast. I am truly hoping this is the last time you hear my voice. We are just still waiting on those rights to the background music for the intro, so hopefully we have that settled in a couple weeks, but just bear with me on that point. So big thank you to our sponsors, Revolution Armory, and also True North Baits. With the upcoming bass, pike, walleye season, make sure you check those guys out and use code CWO10 for 10% off all plastics. Okay, that's CWO10. Anyway, guys, I'm really hoping this is the last time you hear me as an intro and when we get something a little bit more epic. But for now, just enjoy the episode. Have a good one, guys. Hey everybody, welcome back to episode 17, the big 17. We're almost 3 episodes away from 20. I really wasn't sure if we'd actually get this far, and if you haven't noticed, now we are actually week to week because you guys kept asking for it. So now instead of doing every other week, we're going on week to week now. So I'm glad you guys are enjoying this, and as I said, as long as you guys keep wanting it, I'm going to keep doing it. People have reached out with people who they should, like, they are recommending to come on the show. People have reached out about being on the show. Again, if you or somebody you know or whatever, you want to be on the show, just reach out to me. No problems having you guys on. I just love showcasing awesome women in the outdoors, Canadian businesses. Like that's what this podcast is about. So thank you guys for all the support. Big love to my sponsors, Revolution Armory. I just used their RX2 to harvest my big old Tom on Friday. Again, another sponsor, True North Baits. Thank you guys so much. I've been around True North Baits since close to the beginning, so they're awesome plastics, coming up with trout, bass, pike, everything. Check them out. Okay, now that all that's out of the way, we're going to get into the episode. Super excited to have Miss Erica. I'm going to screw this last name up again. I already forget it. Already. I'm like, oh my God. Miss Erica Marchand?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's kind of like the Boston Bruins player that everybody hates right now.
It is 1,000%. So I used to say that Brad Marchand was my cousin, and the amount of people that believe it because they don't know many Marchands, they're like, holy shit. And I'm like, okay, but for real, like, we wouldn't actually say
no, you don't.
He's such a rat.
You don't admit to that. And no. I'm not a Leafs fan. I'm not a Boston fan. Like, I'm an Ottawa Senators fan. I don't give a damn either way. I don't give a rat's ass about the rat.
Hey, there you go. You go.
But
my mom's a Sens fan too.
Well, I like your mom already. Okay, so Miss Erica Marchand or yeah.
Yeah, you got it.
Okay. Got it. Owner of Bear and Fox Apparel. And we'll get into the company a little bit later, but first and foremost, let's introduce Erica. Where did you grow up, or where are you from? Like, how did you, because we had spoken a little bit beforehand about your hunting and fishing stuff. Like, what got you into hunting, fishing, outdoor lifestyle, kind of where your start is, where your roots are?
I am born and raised in the bush, basically. I was raised in Timmins, so
up there,
northern Ontario. My dad is the reason that I'm into archery. He introduced us to our first bows when we were 3 years old, my sister and I. He was a trapper, so he had a trap line up there that was like a huge source of income for our family. My uncle owns, his son now owns it, but my uncle owned an outfitting business. So I grew up in that world as well, helping bait the bears and be there for all the moose hunters and everything. Obviously fishing ties in with all of this.
Oh, yeah.
It was I'm going to say I didn't have a childhood. I had a wildhood.
That's awesome. I like that.
we were outside all the time. We were always like catching critters, you know, like frogs, snakes, salamanders.
Did you eat the frogs?
I didn't eat the frogs until like university.
So good.
They're okay. I don't know. It's so funny because, you know, like some people have like a hang up where they're like, I could never shoot a bear. And for me, I'm like, that's no big deal. But there was something about eating a frog that I was like struggling with. I don't know why, but
see, I love frog legs. A little bit of like a spicy Cajun mayo or something like that. Oh,
so I've tried them, but I'm a big believer in like trying everything twice because like maybe the first time's like fucking terrible. And I think I just need someone to like do it for me properly because I was totally just like bush leaguing it.
And that's the thing too, like I find with food, like sometimes you can have someone cook it for you and it's completely overdone, or like the first time I had venison, it was so overcooked.
Yeah.
I was
and I
chewing
think that's something
rubber.
that happens a lot. Yeah.
And I'm like, oh no. And then I did it properly and I was like, oh yes, please. Like,
yeah.
Anyway, sorry, I digress. I got excited about frogs there.
We were talking about food.
Yeah, right. So, and I mean, you've seen my Instagram. You know how much I love food.
Right.
So you grew up catching frogs, all the critters, snakes, everything like that.
Yeah. And then as soon as I was of age, so like 12 or whenever it is back in the, I don't even know what it is now, but back in the day,
I think it's 12 now.
Right? Like you do like your hunter safety.
Yeah,
you do your hunter safety course, and then you're like an apprentice with somebody, right? So we did that like right off the hop. I was on bear hunts with my dad. Then when we moved to Southern Ontario, we were doing like the deer hunts, and then we obviously got into turkey. Our family, like we had a hunting TV show, a hunting blog, Just Us Hunting. So it aired across Canada. We did 2 seasons. We filmed a 3rd season, but I mean, you're going to understand this too. Like sponsors are a huge part of running any kind of entertainment, whether it's a podcast or a show or whatever. And the show was getting enough traction underneath it that we needed more sponsors, and then we were going to have to start seriously considering like quitting our jobs to continue hunting, because as you know, not every hunt is successful. So we would go up north and be like, okay, we're going to go on a bear hunt. So if we all get a bear, that's 4 episodes, but then you'd get up there and you'd see fucking nothing, or you wouldn't get a shot opportunity, or shit would happen and you wouldn't harvest a bear.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, so that was one of my 2 weeks that I'm allotted at work, and we weren't able to produce any episode. Like it became very, very stressful. So we basically just had to make the decision, like, do you go all in or not? And we decided not to go all in. In hindsight, I think it was the right decision because it definitely made our time in the bush a fucking job.
Well, and I mean, at the end of the day too, like if like a network or whatever is wanting you to film only your harvest, that's not hunting.
Exactly.
Like you want to find somebody that wants to showcase, like, there are days where we catch or see, like my first date, like turkey hunting, like on Thursday, opener, I saw Tom skirting my decoys, like not coming in close enough to take the shot, but that's hunting. It's not called shooting. It's not called killing. It's called hunting. Same with fishing. It's not called catching. It's called fishing. Like there's no guarantees. And I mean, I think it's unfortunate that whatever network or who you were dealing with didn't realize that there is still stories from, like, even if you're not harvesting. Like my eldest, she saw her first close-up turkey with a beard. Although we couldn't take the shot, she still saw it, and she's like, that's so cool. Like,
I love that.
Right?
That was like very much what the show was about. The show was about real hunters, everyday people, because like when you're watching, like, just for example, like wild TV, right?
Yeah.
A lot of those shows are just so unrelatable to the average hunter because every episode they're harvesting a fucking monster buck or like a moose of a lifetime or like a grizzly, but like they're doing all these things that are so unattainable to the average hunter. And that was how the TV show was basically born, was my dad and I sitting around having a couple ryes and us being like, this is not relatable. Like, I can't stand watching this anymore because I know how many times I go out and get skunked, don't see a fucking thing, but you're still enjoying the outdoors. You're still out there. You're still doing it. And then when you do harvest a doe or not a monster trophy buck and you're still putting that meat in your freezer, it means so much more than what you think that they're doing on TV.
As somebody that harvests specifically for meat purposes, doe is 10 times better meat than a buck.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Like, and I mean, like, yeah, cool. It's nice. Like, if an 8-pointer walked out in front of me, yeah, I'd take the shot, but I'd still take a doe over a little button buck.
Yeah. We're the same with like our turkeys, right? Yeah. Tom is sweet, but like if a Jake wants to walk out in front of me tomorrow, I have no problem with that either.
It's meat in the freezer.
Yes. And that's very much like how my sister and I were raised, because we were living off of a single income, right? Like we very much were paycheck to paycheck. And there were years where we heavily relied on the wild game that my dad was bringing in from the trap line, that he was harvesting on the moose hunt. Like there was one year my dad was on strike, like the mine he was working for was striking. And all of the guys that he moose hunts with, they gave him the entire moose because they were they're like, you need it. Like, have it. Right. So I think for me, having meat in the freezer is way more important than having a fucking trophy on the wall. Personally.
Absolutely. And I completely agree with that. Like, again, the whole reason I hunt is to harvest for my family. It has nothing to do with it's nice if you get a trophy. Like,
for sure.
Nice. Like, yay. But like, again, if a Jake, doe, whatever, like something walks in front of me that I can legally shoot, regardless of if it's like a trophy monster or whatever, it's getting shot.
Well, so my first deer hunt, it took me 12 years to finally shoot a fucking deer. I had like this huge monkey on my back. Like I had missed so many. It was horrendous.
Archery or rifle?
I don't have my PAL. I don't own a gun. I'm
only do archery.
Strictly archery.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Crossbow and compound, or just
only compound? Only compound.
Shit, girl. Look at you go.
So when I finally harvested,
take it easy, Merida. There, we're gonna call you Merida.
Right? Hashtag brave.
Love it.
When I finally harvest my deer, it was a little 3-pointer button buck, and this was one of the episodes on the show, and I was just bawling. I was so happy. I was overcome with so much emotion because that deer was like 12 years in the making, and I shot it on Christmas Eve. It was such a perfect fucking holiday.
Yeah. Merry Christmas. Merry Chrysler.
Right.
Happy Christmas.
Bless. Like, Christmaka. Here we go.
Yeah.
It was great. Right.
Okay, OC, take it easy.
Right. Right. But and I think for non-hunters, that's a hard pill to swallow, or they just don't fully understand how you can be so excited to be harvesting a quote unquote like small deer, right? And even some other hunters, like if they're out there like, you know, chasing the monsters, chasing the buck of a lifetime, the reality is like where I go deer hunting, if I see a deer, that's like a great season. Like we don't live in Ohio. We're not seeing deer like squirrels around here.
Well, and I know, like, I feel that. I've listened to podcasts and stuff like that where people are like, oh, I don't shoot a buck unless it's this, or I don't shoot a turkey unless it's a tom. And I'm like, you know what? If it's meat in the freezer, it's going down. Like, if I can fill, because again, even though at the price of meat and groceries and everything nowadays,
it's
like,
insane.
Like, I know I'm going to be paying for my hunting licenses because it's a passion of mine, but if I can fill my freezer, like, whatever, that to me, that's worth it, regardless of whether it's a buck, doe, like Jake, Tom. Like, I don't, even in the fall, if there's a hen, Because on our property, we have a ridiculous, our property is overpopulated by hens. So it's one of those things. It's like, it is what it is. It's meat in the freezer. It's meat in the freezer. It's going to feed the family. Like, who the hell cares? Like,
and I think it teaches your children, like so many life lessons, like perseverance, right? Work ethic, ethics in general, right? Like there's so much to be learned from, I'm going to say hunting, but like the outdoors industry in general.
Well, even fishing. Like there are some, like you go perch fishing. There's perch you're not going to keep, but then there's perch you're going to keep. Like you're not going to keep a perch like that's that big. But like it's yeah, you take your kids outdoors and there's so much they can learn. Like you said. Like
they learn about the world around them. They learn about themselves and where they land within that world. They learn not only just about the actual animal itself, but so after I harvested that turkey the same day you did, it's like, again,
we'll get into that.
It's like the universe.
Yeah.
So we're processing the meat, and like we like to kind of keep skulls around our house. That's like what we do.
Oh, so, don't talk to my wifey about that. I like all the dead things, and she's like, oh, really? Do we need another dead thing? I'm like, yes, we need all the dead things.
Right. So I'm like skinning out the turkey head, which is a trip. But then like my kids are there, they're standing right next to me, and they're learning about the infrastructure of the turkey's head and like the muscles and the tongue and the eyes. And they're really totally absorbing that. And I'm like, this is a really cool learning opportunity for you guys. Showed them what an Achilles tendon looked like in the turkey leg. And I was like, you see this? Yeah.
That's what mommy broke.
This is what I broke. Right. So I think it's just, and I remember me as a child sitting in the skinning shed with my dad, and he would bring all of his animals from the trap line, and I would sit in there with him for hours while he was skinning. And, you know, he's so good at it.
Yeah.
And he's doing it so fast. And then now to ask a question like, well, what's that? And like, why do you do this? And what's that? Like, it's just that unique learning opportunity that I honestly don't think other kids will experience if they don't get outside.
Well, and it's funny. So a couple of years ago, a friend of ours harvested a turkey on our property, and our eldest was like, let's cut open the stomach and see what it's eating. And you cut open the stomach, you kind of learn what field it's in. Like it's crazy. Like, and just the fact that, again, she was I think 8 or 9 at the time, and she wanted to cut open this turkey's stomach, and I'm like, girl, you are going to be set because you have no fear of this. Like, that's awesome that you're already kind of like involved in that stuff. Like, it's raising our kids right. Is what I say.
And even if they decide that hunting's not for them, like some people can't pull the trigger, right? Some people, they just can't, right? But to be able to still learn from somebody else's harvest and be able to appreciate and understand, I think that is fucking priceless. Like, I love seeing that and hearing that. I think that is so important.
Well, like my partner, she won't shoot a duck. She'll eat a duck, but she won't pull the trigger on a duck.
I won't eat a duck.
Like, so did you hear her there? I thought she would eat a duck. I guess not. I thought she said she would eat a duck. Apparently she won't do anything with a duck.
Hey, that's fair. Honestly, there's like I said, for me it was frogs. But I have no problem on anything else, right? Like, everybody's got their thing, but I also think that's a little bit of, I don't want to say humanity. That sounds dramatic, but like everybody has,
considering like we shoot other big things, but
yes,
it's kind of like, I know where you're going. You know where you're going with this, and it's weird verbiage.
Yeah, humanity's a dramatic way to say it, but it's everybody has, I don't even want to say a line that they're willing to cross. I don't know. It's just, I think that, go ahead.
My line is like wolves and like big things that I won't eat. if I won't eat it, I won't shoot it.
Yeah, I would say maybe I'm not. I don't know. Like I went coyote hunting. I didn't end up shooting anything.
I'd eat a coyote. Roast beef.
Yeah, I've never had it.
Tastes like roast beef.
Huh. I mean, I wouldn't be against it. I love lynx. Lynx is like one of my favorite fucking foods. And
see, I've never had that.
That's like a trap line thing, though.
Okay.
Right?
I was gonna
like,
say, yeah.
That's, yeah.
So where are you living now then?
Now I'm in the downtown metropolis of Embro, Ontario. Blink and you miss it. It's between Stratford and Woodstock, kind of near London.
Oh, okay. So you're kind of like, so I'm up near like Bruce Peninsula area.
Yeah.
So you're kind of on that line. Yeah.
Yes. So I'm here now. I travel. I feel like I have a timeshare in Timmins. I go there often. One of my childhood friends and her dad is like an uncle to me. They are on the hunting show too. They still have a trap line. So I go up with them, go grouse hunting,
Oh, gross. We're still trying to shoot we have a bunch of grouse on our property and we hear them every freaking morning and they're elusive. We'll tasty. Get it there. Oh, I know. I want to do it so bad. I have an idea of a recipe in my head and I'm like, I just want one.
Right. So I go up there. We do like archery tournaments.
Oh shit, eh?
My uncle still has the property that his outfitting business was on, which now his two sons have taken over. So we still kind of get to pass that down to my kids and they get to experience cap outfitters in a whole new way. So I like to say I'm Northern at heart.
So where you hunt, like where you harvested your turkey, is that in your area or are you traveling? So, like where you hunt and harvest now, is it around your area or do you head back up to Timmins for that?
I haven't hunted in Timmins for a while. So for turkey, for instance, my parents live in Huron County. So I go up. My dad, like we don't own any property, but we have a lot of property permission. Yeah. So I typically go to Goderich, hunt with my parents, whatever. And then we always do a trip to Omemee and hunt there.
Omemee.
Yeah, right. So a bunch of us, like there's our friends from Timmins, Ottawa, us, like a few of us from like Huron County, and me from Oxford, and we all go there for the long weekend. So it's kind of all over the place. When I draw a moose tag, because that takes a bit. I haven't even tried yet. We go way far north for that. Yeah. And I do a little bit of hunting around home, but it's been really hard to get permission. Like, I don't know. There's a lot of hunters in the area, and every door I've knocked on has said no, except for like people I personally know. So you don't do waterfowl at all then? No. Just no interest, or? Well, I don't have a gun, so it just makes it a little harder to shoot an arrow in the sky. That's true. I mean, that'd be pretty cool if you could make it happen. It'd pull like badass. A Katniss, right? I'm like, it would be badass. I have an interest in doing waterfowl, but again, like I don't have a gun. But it's so interesting. Actually, I just asked my dad on the weekend. I was like, "What's like your dream hunt?" And we couldn't figure out what is like our bucket list hunt. What's a bucket list hunt for you? Bucket list hunt? Moose. Yeah. Moose. For me, it's a moose. I wanna shoot a moose. And it's funny because it's actually one of my favorite animals, like beauty wise. So my two favorite animals are a moose and a wolf. I will never shoot a wolf, never, because I won't eat it. But I will shoot a moose because the meat is fucking delicious. Like we've been lucky enough that we have friends that have harvested moose. And they've given us the meat. And again, I'm sure you've probably seen my Facebook, Instagram pages, like my cooking and stuff like that. Moose is actually probably my favorite meat to cook. It's so good, so tender, so like it's so forgiving. Like it's not like a venison or steak where it's like you do it 5 seconds too long and it's toast. Like moose, it's tender no matter what you do with it. It's so good.
But again, like it's not like it has nothing to do with the trophy. It's more so just the meat. Like I would love a freezer full of moose meat. Like cool if I harvest a big ass bull and with the horns and everything, like cool, that ends up in my wall, awesome. But it's more so the meat for me. Like and that's what it'll always be.
Yeah. Yeah, we kind of land like my dad, he moose hunts every year, right? Like his moose hunt group are extremely successful.
Yeah.
Like
or elk. Alberta elk hunt.
We also landed on elk.
I would love to do an Alberta elk hunt.
I think hearing an elk bugle,
it's something else.
It would give me
the chills.
Yes. It's like when you hear like that first morning gobbler.
Yeah.
And you're just, it's like, fuck, that feels good. Like,
yeah.
Even if they don't come in, you don't get a shot. It's that sound. You're just like, oh my God.
You hear that. You hear the elk call and you're just like, oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
So is your dream hunt like a waterfowl hunt? Like, is that where that was going?
I don't think it's like a dream hunt. It's something I'd for sure try, I guess.
Like, do you have your pal or no?
No.
Oh.
Like I'm just stick and string. Like
wow.
Okay.
That's actually fantastic.
I didn't even know what a fucking pal was. Okay. Because it's just so not like my wheelhouse. Like it's so not on my radar. So my girlfriend Zippy and Timmons, when I went up,
I'm just gonna call you Katniss from now on.
my girlfriend Zippy messages me because I was going up to go on the trap line with her, check the beaver traps and shoot some partridge.
Have you ever eaten beaver? Side note.
No, I've never eaten beaver. I don't. I would try it, but it's not something I would think I would actively seek out. She goes, "Do you have your pal?" And I was like, "You? Like my pal?
My friend?
My chummy?" And she's like, "Okay, that answered that." I was like, "Oh, okay." Like I don't know what that means.
Have you thought about like going for it or anything? Like just or you just don't? Like you're a bow hunter and you're Katniss, and you're gonna call it a day and like
Like I watched
that video. I watched the video of you harvesting that turkey and like I have a bum shoulder. Like I have a torn rotator cuff in my shooting arm, like my right hand, like my right shoulder, and like watching you pull that string back, I'm like, Jesus fuck. Like good for her. Like the most like bow I would do is a crossbow and I would have to crank it. Like
oh yeah, I tried. So what happened? Oh, I had a surgery a couple of years ago. So I had like no upper body strength. Mm-hmm. So I was like, oh, like I don't think I'll be able to pull my bow. I'll have to use Corby's crossbow. I couldn't fucking cock that thing for the life of me. So I was like, well, I mean,
crossbows are funny because it's not like you can have like the strength, but you might not be able to have the height.
So my husband's 6'10", so like for him, he literally just like, I get here and I'm like, I need 1 more inch.
That's Caitlin. So Caitlin will like cock it and she'll be like, shit. Like I need the extra 2-3 inches and she doesn't have that height to do it.
Yeah. I'm like, okay, this is fucking useless. So I'll just stick with my compound. Thank you very much.
We'll get back into that because I just did have some questions about fishing. With fishing, you said you fish. Do you keep any of the fish? Is there a certain fish you like? Is there a certain fish you like targeting? Just because I always like fishing's my bread and butter. Like that's my love, and I always like to ask those questions. So, you big fisher girl, or?
I would like to say that I am here for a good time when it comes to fishing.
You're the one that's like, is there some fun on the boat?
Well, I have no problem. I'm fine to go out on a boat with no fun in the cooler. But I'm not like, don't ask me the specs, don't whatever. Like, I love fishing, but I'm not like a diehard, this is the lure I need and this is the setup. I'm just like a cast it and catch it kind of girl.
So you're definitely more of a hunter than an angler.
Yeah, I would say. We did go on a fly-in fishing trip in September up to Brace Lake,
That's pretty fucking cool.
It was fucking badass.
Yeah.
It was super cool. I would say if I had to pick a fish, I'm more of like a walleye girl, but I love a big pike. I know nobody else does. I love it.
First of all, no, I do. And I will eat that pike because I love pike.
Yeah.
I love pike and I know how to fillet pike properly, so I will eat that pike.
Yeah, I love them. I think they're fucking alligators.
They're awesome.
I think they're super cool.
Yes. So do you eat, obviously you'd eat, I'm hoping you'd eat the walleyes.
Oh, yes.
Depending on, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Like walleye, perch, pike is pretty much like most of.
Do you ice fish then too, or?
Yeah. We go ice fishing. Well, we didn't this year.
Oh,
and then
this year was terrible season.
It was not great.
No.
We normally go ice fishing up in Kapuskasing, like at it's a fly-in camp that my uncle owns. But it was shitty. We couldn't get into there this year. And then I was supposed to go ice fishing up in Timmins, and then I fucked my Achilles and couldn't go. So
I went ice fishing
this year sucked.
I went ice fishing. You would probably know this. I went ice fishing at Abitibi.
Yeah.
I went up there this year. What a scary fucking lake. I'll tell you what, when the winds turn and the storm starts coming in, you're just like, Jesus, gentle Christ, like, oh shit.
The north is a different beast, man.
It was. And they're really talking about, they're like, yeah, there's some permanent huts on here. We brought an axe in case we have to break into the huts and we'll just replace the lock. And I'm like, what? And they're like, yeah, no, we're serious. And I'm like, oh shit. And they brought like a thing of wood in case we needed, like, I'm like, oh, okay, so this is real. Okay. Like, we were in Kirkland Lake, like that's where we were staying, but we fished on Abitibi. Great fishing.
Yep.
Fantastic fishing. But like it was like the weather was fucking real.
Oh yeah.
And it can turn on a dime. It can turn on a dime up there. It got to the point where they were just like, okay, pack up, let's go quick, and we got to get the hell off, or else we're trapped here for the night.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh shit. Like
like when I was pregnant, I was not allowed to go ice fishing, like with up to Cap. Mm-hmm. And I was pissed about it. And my uncle was like, I don't think you understand the risks
it's the associated.
Weather. And he's like, or we get a sled stuck in the fucking slush. He's like, the fact that you would be pregnant, he's like,
giving birth and like you're stuck on the ice.
Yeah.
Your water breaks.
Like... I was like, I understand, but I'm fucking pissed because I very much am a hold my beer and watch this kind of girl. Like if you say I can't do it, I'm going to fucking do it. I really try not to let anything inhibit me from doing whatever I want to do. Like I very much am like, nope, just because I'm pregnant doesn't mean shit. Like, here we go. But
and women hear me roar.
Exactly. I was like, but I understand and I can respect. He's also like 75, right? So I'm like, that sounds
and
like
that, and I mean, I kind of like the risk. Like I would have been like, oh, it's fine. But once actually up there, I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, I get it.
Yeah, the one year when we were up there, it was like classic one last cast, right? So you're like, okay, here we go. I'll clean out all the fishing holes and another 20 minutes kind of thing. And we had turned the light on the shack. And I look out over the fucking lake and it's like blowing and like whiteouts and I see lights terrifying. and I'm like, fuck, I think the COs are coming. So we're like, oh. We're like looking at it's a flying camp, right? Like you have to really want to get out there. And we're looking at our watches. We're like, fuck, it's like really late. Like there's no way because it's an hour and a half skidoo out. So we're like, that's
holy
strange.
Shit.
So
were you camping?
They have the flying camp there, right?
Yeah.
So we just stay in the camp. So this guy comes in and he's like, hey, is Ray here, my cousin? And I'm like, oh, yeah, Ray? And Ray's like, yeah, hey. And he's like, I need your help. I've got 2 kids and they went off the Skidoo trail and it's all slush and their fucking machine was buried.
Shit.
So like I stayed in the camp and had a couple extra drinks. They brought the kids in. We put them beside the wood stove, like try to dry them off. All the machines were fucking buried in slush. And that was my first, like, yeah, okay. Like, it's all fun and games up here.
Until
Love it.
somebody, yeah.
But as soon as something goes wrong, it goes horribly wrong. Like, life or death.
Yep.
And
it's crazy.
And it sounds dramatic, but it's the truth, right?
No,
and
I mean,
like,
I completely, after having done that and now heard stories and like what's happened since I left that, like where I was fishing, like some poor gentleman went through the ice with his dog and lost his dog on Abitibi. Oh yeah, terrifying, like horrifying. Like it's just, I'm like, shit, that's real. Like it's real up there.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's definitely a different beast up there, and it takes a different kind of person to hack it up there. Like
Absolutely.
It truly does.
Absolutely.
But we're going to move into some more positive stuff. Bear Fox Apparel. Bear Fox Apparel. How'd it come about? Where'd you come up with it? What was your goal with it? Again, I've seen you on the socials. I think I followed you before I was even a podcast, and I was always looking around at you, sneaking glances, like where'd you come up with that, and why'd you come up with that? And like exactly for the people that don't know, what is Bear Fox Apparel?
So Bear Fox has evolved into an outdoor lifestyle brand, which
because you've been around for a bit, haven't you?
We're in our 5th year. So,
I was gonna say it's been a minute.
Yeah, so January 2020 was when we officially launched.
Okay.
When we initially launched, I had started Bear Fox as a way to spend more time with my kids, which is such a fucking mother thing to say. And
how old are your kids?
At the time, holy fuck, Lauren was 2 and Freddie was a newborn. So I started it on my mat leave.
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say, okay.
Yeah. I had like a side business before, kind of doing like bachelorette shirts, like classic cricket shit, right?
Yeah.
On the cricket, right?
Yeah. It's the pandemic and everybody's on their cricket and making out all the kinds of shit. Yeah.
Right. So my son was an emergency C-section and I was pressing shirts. Like I came home from the hospital, like cut in half, like a fucking magician's assistant. And I'm like pressing shirts. And I was like, this is bullshit. Like, what if I actually
just
had
description there?
You like that? I was like, what if I actually just had like a brand? Like, none of these shirts like speak to me. Like, this is all just like whatever people want, like Bride Tribe or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then I just kind of started thinking about like what is important to me, and obviously my kids were at the top of my mind. Like I was another like a second time new mom. So I was like, okay, like I kind of want to name it after my kids. Like, what does this brand even mean? So when I was pregnant with Lauren, we didn't know if it was a boy or girl. So we just called her the Cub.
Okay.
So Bear. And then in true like second child nature, we didn't call Freddie anything. Like I was just pregnant.
Second child, who cares?
Right? Like you're just like, whatever, we've done this.
I mean, I've never given birth myself. Like my kids are my stepkids, but
it's you very much so. You're just like, whatever, who fucking cares? So then we named him Freddie, and he was very organically gifted all kinds of fox things. I don't know if they were just like in style or if it was because his name was Freddie.
What does the fox say?
Yeah. Right?
I had to. I'm sorry. That was going to come out at some point in this episode. It needed to.
Right. So then I was like, well, Bear Fox, it is kind of like paying homage to like my childhood, my outdoorsiness. It initially started more as just like a shop local initiative, which was actually perfect because then when the pandemic hit, like it was ideal. So that kind of helped grow the business. And then I actually had my Instagram hacked and lost. So I lost everything.
Oh
I had like
shit.
7,000 followers or
I feel
something.
that. I feel
And it
that. My
sucked.
initial Instagram, my Hunter Chef Instagram got reported. And I have a feeling I know who reported it multiple times, but they reported it and then it got deleted and then I had to start fresh and now I'm doing 2 Instagrams and I had way too many followers on my initial one. But
right? And you have to try and rebuild that. But
yeah.
it actually worked
And
out to be
I don't pay for followers. That's the thing.
no.
Like I'm not somebody that will go like cuz there's that thing where you can pay for followers. I never did that.
Yeah.
The followers I gained were like just followers I gained.
Right? Like organic, right?
Yeah.
So you got to build that back. But it actually worked out to be really good for me because I was able to take a step back and be like, well, what does mean? What is important to me? What do I want to do with Bear Fox? And what do I want to do? I want to encourage people to get the fuck outside. And I want people to do something that makes them happy. Is it going for a hike? Is it just taking your dog for a walk around the block? Is it going hunting? Is it going fishing? Is it what have you? Go do yoga in the trees. Like, I don't care, but get outside, enjoy nature, question things, go and interact with all of the critters that we share this world with, right? Like, get outside, right? So,
absolutely.
So Bear Fox it's comfy, cozy clothing. It's livable. We're in the process of being completely Canadian made, which I'm super stoked on.
That's awesome. That's like my big thing. Like Canadian wide, like Canadian companies, like get it done.
It's so important, honestly.
Yep.
It is so,
especially
so
in this day and age.
Yes.
Support fucking local.
Yes.
That's why. Like I know people would probably give me flack for having Decoy Daddy, like the gentleman, on a couple episodes ago, but I'm like, you know what? He's a Canadian company. He's local, and we need more of that.
Yes.
Like decoy companies in Canada that are for decoys, like again, between the exchange rate, the like just what's that other thing called? The duty on everything. It's like, yeah, no, I'm gonna highlight him because that's something that us waterfowl hunters, I know you don't waterfowl hunt, but us waterfowl hunters, that's an option for silhouettes that's not coming from the States. That's going to cost us twice as much because of the exchange rate and duty. So hell yeah, I'm gonna spotlight something like that. And again, like with your company, like being Canadian and just you, like you yourself, this awesome badass Canadian woman. Again, this is the whole point of my podcast. Like, let's just highlight that awesome sauceness.
I think it's just important because we live in a country that has a really hard time identifying its identity. Right? Nobody really knows the Canadian identity. So if we're able,
the nail on the head right there.
If we're able to promote within our country, right? And I think because of our neighbor to the south, it's really easy to get lost in like the American culture. And it kind of goes back to like watching wild TV and being like, I can't relate to what these hunters are doing because that's not in the Canadian landscape and that's not in rural Ontario landscape, right? So I just think, yeah, promote within this country. And not only is it good for like global warming and fucking being socially conscious and making sure that the people that are actually making your products are getting paid a fair wage and it's a high quality product, right? You're also giving back into this economy.
Yep. So what kind of products do you have? Like,
so we have hoodies, we've got crew necks, tanks, like it's all like fairly, I'm going to say like quote unquote generic items. We have some plaids in the shop, which are not Canadian made. So they're like on clearance to get liquidated out because we're going to start manufacturing our own. We are in the middle of manufacturing our own leggings. We've got sweatpants. We've got Canadian made socks coming. Like it is all gear that you can wear to the cottage, wear on a hike. I wear it hunting, like whatever pick your poison. we've got something that you can use, right? And we're
Make
starting
fishing
to
jerseys
move.
yet?
Fuck no.
All right.
Fuck no. But as again, this feels like a little bit of a transition for the business where it's really starting, I think, to lean more into the hunting and fishing side of things.
So were you not angled at that at the start?
In the beginning, it was about shopping local. And
so just more like an apparel brand in the beginning.
It was just an apparel brand. The tagline was wildly local, small town proud. And it was
That's
just
a pretty
about
cool tagline.
Yeah, it was about like being proud of like what our small towns are capable of. Like you don't have to come from Toronto to be successful, right? And then the wildly local, just supporting local, right?
Yeah.
And then when I actually was given the opportunity, like after my Instagram was hacked and I had to rebuild everything, I was like, you know what? Like what means a lot to me, getting outside. And then that's when the tagline "Made for Those Happiest Outdoors" came.
Yeah.
And since then we've never looked back. And I actually feel so much more connected and aligned with the social channels we've created afterwards.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's still some kickback, right? Like when I shared pictures of my turkey, right?
Oh,
you can see the follow count kind of dip a bit, but you know what? That's fine. That's
always going to happen.
You're not here, and that's fine. I'm not your cup of tea. I'm more of a shot of rye anyway, so give her.
I mean, and that's exactly it. Like you want to be authentically you. You want to present yourself like, yeah, this is my brand, but this is also me behind it. This is who, like, yes, I'm Canadian woman of the outdoors, but I would rather, like, I'm like drink beer, shoot shit, catch fish, eat it. Like, I'm not your prim and proper, like, frou, like, I'm going to be this amazing podcast host. Like, no, I'm just like, I'm here presenting you badass bitches. Like and like it's completely, again, like this is a completely organic episode. We've talked about stuff I didn't even plan on talking about with you tonight.
You just never know. And I think that's what is so cool about just connecting with people, where you have the outdoors as your first line of contact, because you never know where that conversation is going to take you. And I think it's really cool that can happen.
Especially too, like with women, with us, it is such an underestimated, like we are underestimated as women. Like those men don't think we can do it, like, or like it's the men's club and whatever, and it's like no, boys, hold our beers. Hold all our beers.
I will agree and I'll disagree. If you can find, I'm going to say, an ally.
Okay, so maybe you industry, I have found allies now.
Okay. So
previously,
when did you start like hunting and fishing?
5-6 years ago.
Okay, so we have very different experiences.
Yeah.
Because for me, I was born and raised into it, and I was surrounded by men who fanned that flame, right? My dad is my biggest supporter. My uncle,
I'm jealous. That's amazing.
Like I have so many men in my corner, and for them, like all of their wives hunt, all of their wives shoot. Like it's very much like I grew up in a bubble because I didn't come into this later in life. This has just always been life. So I'm interested to kind of hear your perspective, just getting into it 5 years ago.
It's definitely different. So I've only been hunting for like 5-6 years. I've fished my entire life. My grandfather fished. He had a boat, fished. I've only been hunting 5-6 years. My dad is interested in it so much, the fact that it's like he thinks it's cool. I can feed him and stuff like that. But the men in my corner now are the guys that I've met. Like, I'm sure you've seen me on the Eating Wild podcast. Like, I met up with those guys. Like, those are kind of the guys in my corner now, like the gentlemen. Lorianne's husband, Canadian Sportsman Society, her husband, Steve, he's in my corner. Our other buddy, Regan, like he's a gentleman in my corner that's helped me. But it's not something that I grew up with. It's only something that, and again, it's not my family that's been in my corner in regards to men like helping me in the outdoors. It's been more so just connections and friends I've made along the way that are like, oh yeah, Nicole, like you're awesome. We'll help you. Like we'll teach you.
Do you find that you've gravitated towards men or towards women while trying to find what you like doing in the outdoors, right? Like you were fishing at first.
Am I gonna have to add you as a co-host? You're asking some good questions here, girl.
Yeah, I'm fucking digging deep, yo. Come lay on my couch. Let's get down.
Yeah, right?
Right? So you were fishing, then you wanted to get into hunting. Where were you finding your allies, men or women?
Women. So I actually, when I first started out hunting, my friend Tara, who I worked with, she introduced me to Lorianne from Canadian Sportsman Society, who she put on an intro to turkey seminar, and then an intro to waterfowl seminar, and then she did a waterfowl hunt, and then she actually took me on my very first turkey hunt, which I missed, totally missed that first bird 6 years ago.
You have to.
Yeah. And that was probably the Tom of a lifetime that I missed. But I'm like, of course, it's my very first. First of all, I'd never heard a turkey gobble in person in my life. So I'm sitting there with my gun. I'm like 25 years old, little girl, just like, ooh, and then I just hear this Tom gobble, and I jumped, and Lorianne's like, don't move. I'm like, oh. And I shat myself because it scared me so much. So I was terrified. I was like, oh my God. I mean, I can't say much. I peed when I shot the bird on Friday. So
I have hunted a long time. I don't have hundreds of kills under my belt. Again, that's why it's called hunting, not killing. But right? I fucking hope I never lose
the
that
adrenaline
excitement
rush. Yeah.
and that just raw emotion, right?
I called my partner almost in tears. It was my first on Friday. It was my first by myself. I got my ass up out of bed into the blind by 4:45 a.m. I had my tea by myself. My tea ended up going flying. I didn't even drink the whole thing because it ended up going flying. I did it all by myself. I called in this fucking Tom, watched him skirt my decoys for a little bit, and then finally come in for the perfect shot. Took the shot and he died on one. And I peed. I peed myself. I called my partner almost in tears, and I was like, holy fuck. Like I shot this turkey by my, like, this is, nobody else is around. I did this by myself. I didn't need no man. I didn't need no guide. I did it all by my damn self.
I love that.
And that was so ridiculously rewarding. Like, especially because, like, I've had some shit go on. Like, women saying, like, oh, like, you're not going to be able to hunt without people. Like, you're just kind of like, you go with groups of people. Like, you'll never be able to do it by yourself. And I'm like, no. Hold my beer. Hang on a second.
Hold my beer and watch this.
Yeah. So it was so ridiculously satisfying to finally be able, and a lot of that was because I hadn't been doing it for so long. Mm-hmm. Like, a lot of those girls had been doing it their entire lives. Their dads did it, their parents, uncles, whatever. And I was only 5 years in. They're like, well, you're not going to do that by yourself. Like, you need somebody, you need a guide. And it's like, that was just so ridiculously like, no, the fuck I don't. Like, and when that bird dropped, like I said, I called Caitlin like almost in tears. I was like, I fucking did it. I shot this goddamn bird, and it was a beautiful Tom, 9-inch beard, 20 pounds, some odd, fucking inch spurs on it. Like, hell fucking yeah. Like,
I hope you never lose that sense of wonder, and I hope that you never lose that excitement, because there is no other feeling like after you harvest an animal. There is no other high. There is no ugh.
Well, and it's funny because I've harvested goose, duck. I've been hunting goose and duck and shot lots of geese and duck. I have shot but I don't know. I think there is something different when it's just you, yourself, and you, like with a bigger game animal.
Mm-hmm.
Like whether it's deer, moose, turkey, whatever. Like when it's a one-on-one thing, like I definitely think it's different. And I mean, like, first of all, you just shot a fucking turkey with no Achilles tendon. You're in a boot.
Yeah,
First of all, you got to tell me that story there. Like, because was it a long hunt or was it an early morning hunt? Like my bird was down by 6:53 on Friday morning.
7:40. So I was like an hour after you. Yeah. Like I said, I very much hold my beer. Watch this. If you think I can't do something, I'll do it.
I couldn't believe it.
Twice as hard. So when I ruptured my Achilles tendon, that was like one of my first things was
how did you rupture it?
I was playing pickleball with the old people.
What the hell? You country people.
I know.
I don't know what the hell pickleball is. I've heard of pickleball, broomball. Like, how many balls do you guys have up here?
Honestly, pickleball, it's for old people. It was embarrassing. Everybody else there was like 40 years older than me.
You tore your Achilles playing pickleball.
Yeah, but everybody that plays pickleball has like new hips, new knees, perfect fucking blood pressure, and then so whatever.
I'm deceased. They're all meds. It's fine.
It's fine.
They've all had surgeries. They're all on meds. It's fine.
It's
but
fine.
I'm just like over here being the young bitch.
I'm over here raw dog in life with like my original parts, but it's fine. Anyways, so I tear my Achilles and I'm rattled because like turkey season's coming up. I can't drive. It's my right foot. I can't drive. Can't get anywhere. So then my brother-in-law drives me the hour and a half to Goderich. My parents have to drive me to the field. Like I'm like 14 again. So I go out that morning. There were 2 toms gobbling, but they weren't ever responding to my call. They were just like peacocking around. And I was like, okay, well, whatever. They know I'm I look out in the field and I saw a doe, which was kind of cool. And I'm convinced that deer and turkeys are like in cahoots. Like the deer's like scouting for them or something. Like it's funny. Then I look and I see this tom coming down the field, and he actually came out on my right, but I'm in the same blind that I had shot my turkey last year, and they consistently come out on a trail on the left. So I kind of felt a little like not caught with my pants down, but just like, well, okay, this isn't what I was fucking prepared for. And he didn't come into the decoys hot. He sauntered in. He actually reminded me a lot of like a hen. You know, hens will just kind of like peck around and saunter. That's what he was doing. And I'm like, oh, fuck, I'm going to have to pull back on him like earlier and hold my bow, because I don't think he's going to come in hard to the decoys and get distracted. And then I'm going to get picked off. So I pull back. So he's probably at like 10 yards and he stops. He doesn't spook, but he's kind of like, what? Looks around, and he turned his head, and I was like, yeah, I'll take that shot. So then I shot his head off, and I was the same thing, elated, because I was like just not expecting for it to actually work. Like I was like, I'm handicapped here in the fucking boot. I can't
I saw your video and like I was just like, yeah, like,
yeah, it was. I don't know what was actually more satisfying, watching the bird drop and like vertical blood trailing it, or when my dad came over the hill and I hold up the bird and he comes flying out of the truck and he's like, that a girl, and he's like cackling, like he's so I don't know, like I think that is more his reaction, because I had texted him and was like, hey, can you come pick me up? I'm really sore. And so
Oh,
he's like, you bitch. He's like, I
Yeah.
was feeling so bad. I dropped you off in this field, and I'm
see,
ugh.
it's so interesting because, like, again, like the first people I texted were Caitlin and my friends. Like, my parents didn't know till like later on that day. It's kind of funny, like, just because it's not my parents' thing. Like,
Yeah.
they don't like. It's not something they grew up with. It's not like. It's funny though because my mom is the daughter of a butcher, and they owned a deli and a butcher shop in Hamilton.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just not her thing.
Yeah.
And like I texted like Caitlin and like a couple of our friends first. Like, I'm walking out, like my pant was so bloody walking out of that field. And Caitlin's like first thing was like, oh well, we need to like do this to get the stains out. Like, typical mom like
Right.
vibes there. Like, you gotta get the stain out of that. And I'm like, look at the bird, like, yay, this is the bird.
Check it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, you gotta get the sting out of here.
No, I think it, yeah, like we're driving away and Dad's like, did you text Zippy? Did you text Cone? Did you text so? And I'm like, yeah, it's really
awesome.
fun and special to be able to share with people who are even so far away, right?
And the fact that you captured it on video.
Honestly, it's like, it's old habits die hard, right? We used to have to film all of our own hunts. So we still have a couple GoPros kicking around. Now
it's super cool. Like,
now it's a little different. Like, it's like social media, right? Like, social media wasn't what it is today when we had the show. So now it's kind of with a different lens, especially like with the clothing brand, right? I'm like, wow, everything is content, right?
Well, and it's funny, like I watched the video and you can just see like when you pull back and then you make the shot and then your reaction, like when it goes down, you're just like, like,
so
it's
good.
Such an awesome video. And I was like, hell yeah, girl. Like,
my dad laughed. So my dad's watching it and he's like, yeah, so you can tell we're not on TV anymore because you're saying fuck a lot, because
who cares?
We had to be conscious of that, right? Like, because
see, this is why I can never be on TV, and I'm just gonna have to do my own shit because, like, fuck, I swear, like a sailor and a trucker had a child.
All of us do. The show was hard. There were still moments there were still moments where you swear and you just beep it out.
Literally, when I shot that bird, I was like, fuck, I got it, fuck. Like, just like, I don't know how many, like,
it's a totally different feeling. It's hard to put into words what it is. And any non-hunter, just, there's nothing else that compares. You can't explain that to them. It's like a little like je ne sais quoi. You can't do it.
Like, I truly, like, again, I've hunted waterfowl. I don't know how many times I've shot. I don't even know how many waterfowl birds. There is nothing like, it's awesome when I shoot like a duck or a goose or whatever, but like the adrenaline and what I felt shooting that turkey, like, just by myself, like I'm out in the blind by myself, like no one's around, and I did it all by myself. It was just something else.
Mm-hmm. I'm really hoping I'm going to shoot my second one tomorrow. That's my plan.
Are you going out tomorrow?
Fuck yeah. I went out today. So I got permission at a local lavender field. So it smells so good. Just smells like lavender. So my girlfriend, because again, I need an Uber to take me anywhere. So my girlfriend was over today and I was like, how do you feel about setting up a ground blind with me? And she doesn't hunt. She's like, yeah, okay. So we like load up her car, go out there, set it up. And then as we were leaving, we turn and I'm like, fuck, there's a tom. Like right there.
Yeah.
So I look at her, I'm like, do you want to go hunting with me today? And she's like, yeah, like I have nothing going on. So I was like, let's zip home, grab my bow, grab you a chair, let's go. So we went and sat. The bird came out like 30 yards on our right, but never committed to coming in. But I like turned to her, I'm like, Carolyn, you just saw a turkey in a turkey blind. Like I was like pumped for her and like nothing even happened, you know? And she was like,
it's still just seeing that shit.
right? And I was like, oh, I wish he gobbled for you, because that's like really cool. And she was pumped too. And I'm like, it's really cool to be able to share that with someone who doesn't hunt. She brought her camera, right? She's like, I guess I'll just shoot with my camera, and like she's taking pictures.
There you go.
Like, give her. However you enjoy the outdoors, go for it.
So again, back to awesome conversation. I'm not even gonna cut this off. We're just gonna keep going. Where do you want to see Bear Fox Apparel go? Like, are you just gonna? I know we've ping ponged all over, but you know what? That's a podcast. It is what it is. But so where do you want to see Bear Fox Apparel go? Because it's been a pretty popular brand. I mean, it's got brought to my attention multiple times by people saying like, hey, like have her on, and so like, are you just gonna continue as a lifestyle brand, or are you gonna eventually bring some sort of camo to the world, or like what's your plan there?
My plan, if you had asked me 2 years ago, my plan was to become a provincial brand. When people step foot in Ontario, I wanted people to know about Bear Fox. Very similar to when you go out east and there's East Coast lifestyle. Yep. Very similar, right?
Yep.
Now, with the transition of us also creating content for property owners, so we partner with a bunch of Airbnbs and create content for them, which is how we got tied up with Brace Lake Outfitters. We partnered with them for content. We partnered with Abitibi Sled Dogs and went dog sledding with them. I see us doing more. I see us doing more of that. Yes, continuing with the clothing. I quite enjoy that part of the business. But I see us growing more. Like saying content creating sounds like fucking influencing.
Are you going to do events?
So we are hosting an event in October. We actually just met about that today, trying to finalize the last little bit of what that's going to look like. But it's going to be more like retreat style. But yeah, there's just some logistics to work out with that, but we're hoping to launch that in the next couple weeks, get all of our ducks in a row per se. Yeah. There have been some people reach out asking about like learning to shoot a bow. So maybe that's something that comes down the pipe. I was going to say,
have you ever thought about doing like an archery clinic? Because if that's like, if you are an archery like pro, like, and I mean, I'm sure you are, like, why don't we figure out something together? Like, I'm not an archery pro, but I have property.
I don't know if I'm a pro. But yeah, like those kind of things have crossed my mind. But then
like I have the people that would want to sign up for something like that. So,
but then I'm reminded of how when we had Just Us Hunting, it actually tainted what I love so much because it became such a job.
Yes.
So as much as I love sharing my outdoor lifestyle, I don't know if that's something that I would consider too seriously, or maybe it's like a one-off, right? That happens here or there, but
yeah,
there's something about having something that you love and maintaining that as not a job.
Oh, absolutely. I totally get that.
You know?
Totally get that.
I mean, I feel like Bear Fox is just a job nonstop. Like everything we do. Oh, you're wearing a Bear Fox shirt? Okay, smile. Okay, quick video, right? But I don't know. Well, I love seeing how much Bear Fox has evolved over the last 4.5 years. So I can only imagine where it's going to continue to go.
I was going to say, are you looking at doing some trade shows next year?
Yes. So I've signed up already for the Outdoor Adventure Show.
Yep.
And now we're just trying to figure out, we're going to do a second show. We have not yet decided if we're going to do the Sportsman Show.
Yep.
Or the Cottage Life Show. And the only hang up is this year, the Sportsman Show was only like 2 or 3 weeks after the outdoor adventure show at the exact same location. And I was like, how many people are like, they've already done it, you know?
Yeah.
And they all come with really big price tags. So
yeah, tell me about it.
Yeah.
I learned about that last year.
You know. Yeah.
Or this,
you know.
yeah. Learned all about that.
Yeah. So yes, we're gonna do some trade shows. Basically keep spreading the gospel of Bear and Fox. We do a lot of social media, right? But we can all agree that Zuckerberg's universe, we're all just squatters. So I mean that could be gone tomorrow. But so yeah.
We are way over our time. Don't matter though. So one thing, the last question I always like to end with, for young ladies, young women getting into the outdoors, or they want to get into an outdoor business or just start hunting and fishing, what's some advice other than like just do it? Like what is like something that's unique, like whether it's dress warm socks or whatever, like something from the heart instead of just get into it, because that's everybody gives the just get into it advice. So what's something?
I don't think that would be my advice. Just get into it.
All right, let's hear your advice.
Take it with a grain of salt. And a shot of tequila. If you
and a little slice of lemon.
If you want to get into something outdoorsy, so I'm going to gravitate towards hunting. If you want to get into hunting, I would say be curious, ask lots of questions, go to like a local archery shop, go to a local archery range, go find some people that you can connect with, whether it's over coffee, maybe it's over social media. I would say find a connection. Yes, you can go it alone, right? But there is such an incredible outdoor community that if you can tap into it and find your tribe, then you have, the world is your oyster. You will have so much fun outside and you will learn so much together. Like I said, I grew up in the outdoors with my dad and my uncle and my cousins and my dad's friends who essentially were uncles for me. So very specifically, my girlfriend Zippy and Timmons, there's 10 years between us. So when you're kids, that's a big age difference, right? For me to be 10, for her to be born, we don't want to chum around, right? As adults, we have found and have grown our friendship so much in the last year and a half because of the outdoors, right? We value each other so much and we learn so much from each other. So if you can find a community or a tribe or a person that you can experience the outdoors in, chef's kiss, you're going to be set for life.
Exactly. Perfect. I'm sure I'm going to have you on for another episode because we probably still could have kept talking and talking and talking. Like, it's
we're going to need a bottle of rye for the next one.
I was going to say, I'm pretty sure next one, maybe we need to do an in live and do like some like fishing and hunting or something together.
In the turkey blind?
Something.
It's a whisper
interview. Well, thank you, Erica, for coming on tonight. I really, truly appreciate it. You have been awesome. I mean, I know it was completely organic. I didn't send you a list of questions, and we kind of went zigzag all over the place, but that's a podcast, right?
Thank you so much for having me. Honestly, I think it's really cool to be able to connect with other people that have similar interests and hobbies. And again, we can learn so much from each other. So thank you so much.
No problem. And with that, ladies, gentlemen, remember, the outdoors belongs to no one. So get out there, do your thing. Whether it's hunting, fishing, hiking, canoeing, kayaking, the outdoors truly belongs to no one. It belongs to all of us. So get out there, have fun. And with that, we'll see you next week with our next episode. Thank you, Erica.
Thanks.